Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 15th meeting of the New Hampshire Network for Energy, Environment, and Climate. Our speaker today is Catherine Corkery of the New Hampshire Sierra Club, and she is going to talk to us about a bill that's been introduced in the legislature about crypto mining, and she'll discuss the environmental impacts of it. So take it away, Catherine, and I'm going to put everybody else on mute. So you're going to have to unmute yourself, Catherine.
Oh, haha. Hello, hello. Thank you all for inviting me to talk about HB 639. My name is Catherine Corkery. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the chapter director of New Hampshire chapter of the Sierra Club. Thank you all for joining us and listening in. It's great to see a lot of familiar names and faces. So thank you. Thank you, friends, for being here. And I would like to introduce one of our volunteers, Ken Solon. Ken is on our Changemakers committee and has been working with me and the chapter on this bill in particular. There will be a point where I will point to Ken to chime in about some of the environmental impacts of these facilities. So welcome, Ken, my co-lead here. Um, so I do have a couple of slides, but I'm not sure if I can share them.
You should be able
Um,
to go ahead and share.
oh, okay, cool. I'm not the best at this, but let's see. I'm not seeing it.
You move
Uh,
your mouse, you should get an action bar at the bottom.
yeah, I see share, but I'm not seeing the screen, which screen it is. Um, Maybe it's this one. Let's try that. Uh, no, that is not it. You know what? I will pass on the slides and um, I will have them available and I'll put them in the chat.
Okay,
Um,
great. Yep. And I'll make sure that those are linked to in the meeting minutes and when I send the links out. Yep.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Mary Beth, for being such a wonderful host and accommodating. So we have I'm going to put the top items at the beginning. The Senate committee will be voting on this. That is the Senate Commerce Committee will be voting on this bill on October 30th at 1 o'clock at the State House. And there is a link I can share, I think. Um, to the bill. I think Mary Beth shared that with everyone already. Um, Never a bad thing to reshare. Here's the bill. This bill is actually one of those bills that is cut and paste and introduced all over the country. This was done by advocates for the cryptocurrency industry and it is a real carte blanche for the crypto industry to come into New Hampshire and um, uh, and take root. Um, the bill was introduced by Representative Ammon in the House Commerce Committee, and it got very little attention. There were four people who supported the measure and seven who opposed. When it went to the Senate Commerce Committee, 249 people opposed the bill and and no one online, the online testimony, no one supported it. That was a significant change. And to be clear, this isn't, I know a lot of people have feelings about crypto. We really tried not to have those feelings about crypto, even though has a lot of connections to human trafficking, to uh, drug trafficking, to arms and gun trafficking, to a lot of other illegal activities. We really, it's as bad as all those things are, we really wanted to just focus on the facilities themselves and how they can impact the environment. And you know what we were really interested in doing. And so our theme right now is to say, fix it or forget it. That this bill does far too much damage to our community than what it can do for as a business or as an enterprise. Namely, it does not, and it actually prohibits towns from establishing safeguards for their own infrastructure, for their own communities, and for the residents in the community. There's a very high, high potential for these facilities to cost shift to other taxpayers, to other ratepayers in not only that community, but to the whole state when it comes to electricity. Um, and so the bill actually says that state agencies and towns are prohibited from, um, what's the word that they use? They're prohibited. Oh, I have it right here. Let me tell you. They are prohibited. They shall, okay, no state and no local government agency shall prohibit a person or the business from operating. So, but it doesn't say what is prohibiting. And that leads to a lot of unintended consequences, as they say in the State House. Um, so overall, there's that piece, and then there is the bill creates what they call a blockchain dispute docket in the court system. And this docket would cost anywhere to up to $400,000 to establish. There was no real discussion about those fiscal impacts to the state, but it's in there. And this dispute docket is really quite broad, and it allows for attorneys rewarding attorneys' fees too, which is also pretty unusual. And then lastly, um, there are very little consumer protections. And again, this comes into the crypto part of it. But we heard from the AG who is focused on the consumer protections for securities. They had some real problems with this bill as well as written, in that it totally exempts the cryptocurrency business from the uniform what's it called? The Uniform Securities Code, which is a big exemption. So when it went to, so those are the four big issues for Sierra Club. And I want to ask Ken if he could share in some of the environmental or the energy demands and the environmental demands from these types of facilities. Ken, can you?
Hello, everyone. And in order to kind of illustrate that, I'm going to see if I can share my screen, see if that works out. Oops. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, we
great.
can.
By the way, these are just some pictures from around the state. One of my sort of pastimes is hiking and snowshoeing. And the Sierra Club, I joined up with them last April, and really, I have to say that the folks there really have a lot of what I call tribal knowledge. They have knowledge of both some of the personalities involved in the legislators, as well as some in-depth knowledge of the issues. So with crypto mining, there's a good resource, a paper called The Energy Bomb, and it really is a very good paper. There's a link to it there. But one of the ways to view crypto mining is think of it as a box where these computations are going on, banks of computers. And what feeds that box is fossil fuels to produce electricity, mainly. There are other ways, of course, to produce electricity. And what you get out of that box is emissions, effluents, and profits, but profits for whom? And this operation is extremely energy intensive. If we looked at it in a little bit more detail, and engineers like to look at schematics and sort of process map, but in a facility that would be 220 megawatts, and that's right in the range of existing crypto mining facilities. For cooling alone, they use 3 million gallons of water a day. So you need energy production mainly from fossil fuel, from the oil and gas industry, and you're getting all these emissions. And then in the transmission, you have to invest in infrastructure to get those electrons, that electricity, over to the facility. So on that scale, we're looking at enough power to power 20,000 homes in New Hampshire. And we're looking at the water that 10,000 homes would consume. That's the equivalent of one of these facilities. Now, what's going to happen is that we're going to be producing noise because these facilities run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, they're just chock full with racks and racks of essentially computers, generate a lot of heat. And even in the wintertime, they need liquid cooling and mechanical cooling to keep the temperature within the operating range of this equipment. All that noise is going to give the neighbors a bit of mental stress for sure. You're going to see a decline in your property values. You're going to see an increase in your electricity rates for consumers, and the general quality of life that Ken Solon likes, and sort of walking around New Hampshire a little bit and taking photographs, that's going to be deplenished. It's going to be decreased because New Hampshire is a state where 95% of the businesses are small business. And a lot of the businesses rely on the environment, the skiing business, the outdoor business, even like breweries and things like that, rely on tourism and rely on having pristine nature. On the water alone, you get thermal pollution and the risk to aquatic life. So that kind of just gives an overview of the ins and outs. as Catherine said, particularly on HB 639, what we would like to see is the language written in a way that strengthens, not gets rid of local and state control. Uh, uh, Enforce pollution and noise ordinances and really adhere to zoning plans for the local communities. It's all part of this kind of free state mentality of trying to bypass all of these systems that protect our health, safety, and the environment. Uh, and as Catherine mentioned, there's the language of setting up a specialized, judicial docket. Well, any endeavor that tells you they need a special docket up front to settle disputes, because that's what judicial dockets do essentially, is suspect to me at least. Why do you need a special docket up front? Are you anticipating disputes? Uh, these industries are not as clean as they purport to be. When we look at these on the face value, it's a nice sort of clean room with racks of uh, computers. But they're really dirty industries from the emissions that they generate from many of these facilities even use diesel generators that generate soot and black smoke. And as a cautionary tale here in New Hampshire, we all are aware of the Saint-Gobain debacle with PFAS in our water. Well, the systematic entry into the water a lot of it was through air pollution, through emissions. And where is Saint-Gobain today? They've exited the state. They've folded up their shop in Merrimack, and I think they're building something else on that site. And they're long gone, left New Hampshire residents holding the bag, as it were. So that's what we're sort of leading to, is that to be stewards of the environment, we want to set up these mechanisms within the language of the bill to safeguard our health and the environment mainly.
Awesome.
So with that, I guess if anyone has questions, I'm trying to. How do I stop? Oh, here we are. How do you stop screen sharing? Stop share. There we go. Okay.
Excellent.
Simple.
Before we go on to questions, I also wanted to name that in our advocacy, we were able to circulate a sign-on letter against this bill with a number of other environmental groups, including League of Conservation Voters, and a whole slew of other ones, but I have too many tabs open and I'm really sorry. But I'll share that with everyone after. And we were also were able to, for the Senate hearing, we were able to get 7 people to come, including Ken, to oppose the bill and speak at the hearing. And after that, the bill, it was like, I don't know, it was crazy in the State House last session. And so a lot of crazy activities happened with this bill as well. So after the Senate heard this bill, the bill had a tie in committee. It was 3-3. And so it went to the Senate floor without a recommendation, which is really unusual. And then on the floor, the Senate, on a voice vote, retained the bill. And that's why it's still in the Commerce Committee today. But after the bill was retained, what happened? It was the same language from this bill was put into a Senate bill that was on the House side as an amendment because the House really wanted it. And they put it in SB 25, which had nothing to do with crypto, nothing at all. And you can see this in the link that I shared at 206. You can see the pathway. Well, the House floor voted to put it on SB 25. Then they sent it, SB 25, over to the Senate, and the Senate voted it down and killed it. So it was a roller coaster, to say the least, for a legislative process. And as I said at the beginning, this bill is in the Commerce Committee, and it will be voted on the 30th, which is a Thursday, at 1 o'clock in the State House. I do have a nice little summary handout that I can share with people on the slides. But I apologize, I can't share that with you. But with that, I think Ken did a great job. Thank you, Ken, for talking about the environmental impacts of crypto and also these larger computer data facilities. They, in a varying degree, have the same types of problems with air and water pollution, our utilities, and we need to, in the very near future, if they are unable to fix this in the Senate, then the problem still exists, and these facilities will and can have a real impact on our quality of life and our neighborhoods in New Hampshire. So with that, we can take questions. Mary Beth, we'll hand it to you.
I will unmute if I can figure out how to do that. I will unmute all. Oh, you'll just have to unmute yourselves. I guess there's no unmute all button. Oh,
So what do we
all
do?
to unmute. There we go.
So what can we do? What can each one of us do?
Like I said, I do have a nice little handout. Let me see if I can do this again. Let me see if I can do this.
Well, it'll be in the chat, right? At some
We should go. We
Yeah,
should go here though, for this committee. Go.
Well, so we're asking folks to go to the committee, or call the senators. And
No,
here,
Tim. Boy, we lose.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to mute somebody. Keep talking.
No worries. If you had a question, I'm happy to answer it. But here, I'll copy and paste the what the document says. And we're asking people to call up the committee members. The committee members are that we're targeting 4 of them. Senator Innes is the committee chair. Real fans I see in the room. Senator Ricciardi, who's actually been very helpful in the regards to this bill. And then Senators Reardon and Fenton.
Fenton's good.
And Reardon and Fenton are the Democrats on that committee. And Ricciardi is a Republican, and Dan Innes is the chair and a Republican. The committee vote is October 30th. That's correct. The question I see from Deb. Oh, Andrea, I'm sorry. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Awesome. I see Deb Williams had the question of how many people are employed at a typical crypto facility. That's a very good question. Because what they say and what the reality is not always, doesn't always match. There is one story in the Energy Bomb report of a facility in Texas that had they told the Texas legislator, the community, that they would hire like 150 people, and they ended up hiring 13. And we don't even know if those 13 actually lived there. They could have been remote people. So the reality and what they say in the planning process doesn't always match up. And I'm sorry, Bruce, I think you had your hand raised.
I did. I was just going to put in the chat. So a two-part question. On the 30th, and I saw it in the chat also, are they taking public comment? Are they just voting? And more importantly, and I don't understand this enough, but what kind of impact does it put on our grid? I mean, there's a huge increase in energy necessity, and I know this is so. If you
Ken
can
can
speak to that.
actually address the energy question. Why don't you take that first, Ken?
Well, if you look at the energy generation in New Hampshire, 55% of our electricity is from nuclear, and most of the balance, only about 16%, is from renewable. We're really bad on solar. We only have about 1% solar. So in order to meet these electrical demands of these 200 megawatt to 500, and they're even talking about going above that, the standard solution to get you there the quickest would be gas turbines that run on natural gas, and essentially now you're generating a huge carbon imprint in terms of emissions.
Mm.
Now we're not against progress. We're the Sierra Club. We certainly are for technology and progress, but we just want it done in a managed way. The way the language is here written, there are no safeguards, there are no toll gates.
Right.
On the environmental side, and that's what we're mainly concerned about. Just the infrastructure and land usage. We're talking one of a 220 megawatt facility is probably the size of 6 football fields, and then you need the pads and the roads and all the hardware for the power generation and the interconnecting transmission systems. That creates a lot of jobs, but at what cost? What price do you put on the environment? And this is where I feel like the people that are sponsoring this bill, they're really just and I hate to say this, but in my opinion, they're really just the talking heads, our larger ulterior move of exploiting all of these riches that are natural resources. So what can we do about it? Well, it's just to create the awareness, because I don't think a lot of people, including these legislators, realize the scope, the concept. We're talking about one facility, consuming as much power as 20,000 homes.
May I ask just one follow? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
Well, I have one question. With our legislature being the way it is, it would seem one of the things that we need to emphasize when we talk to them is local control and the lack thereof, because that's a big issue for a lot of people in New Hampshire. Any comments?
Yes, this would make it worse. This is a really, I kid you not, this bill actually says that no state, no local government agency or subdivision shall prohibit any person or business from operating. And
Important.
that is what does that mean? It doesn't mean that the zoning committee, postpones a hearing. They're prohibiting our business.
Yeah.
And if a town, if you think about, I don't know if anyone is on a town, planning board or a select board. If you had a business that said, hey, in the statute, it says this, you cannot prohibit me. I'm going to take you to this docket, this special digital docket, and bring you to court. Is your town going to be like, okay, no, they don't want to go to court. So this is really a threat to all of our communities,
Yeah.
the way that it's written now. And to answer Bruce's other question about what to expect on Thursday, the 30th, it is just a committee meeting. There's no testimony taken. And so this is just eyes on, and you can watch it at home. And I certainly invite you all to come and see it in person, because they're really intimidated by people, if you haven't noticed, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry. And the network will send out a notice asking people to comment before the.
there's no commenting.
Oh, we can't, but no, I don't mean in the public session. I meant between now and the 30th, people can write to senators, right? To express their.
Yes.
Right. And that's
Yes.
the same thing that Catherine just put in the chat, right? We can
Yeah.
send that out to everybody in the network
Yeah.
and do that. But yes, I love Catherine. I have a pesky
I
full-time
love
paid
you
job,
too, Mary
but I
Beth.
so I won't be able to be there in person. But yes, more people, and we're not allowed to talk, but we can fold our arms and look angry,
Absolutely. It can be intimidating.
Can we sit there and have small signs saying we want local, we want local power? Can you sit there with a little sign?
They don't really like that so much. But they will know that you're not from the Crypto Boys Club. They will know.
You could probably stand in the hallway with a sign. You can't bring it into.
Right. Not in the meeting room.
Of course, if it happened to be printed on your shirt.
Right.
I think the greatest impact is for them to know that someone is watching, because they have a tendency to sneak these things in. I'm not using the right terminology, but under the table, I call it, just
Right.
sneak it in at midnight when no one's watching.
And I see Sarah Doucette has her hand up. Got to take yourself off mute.
Yeah.
There
Thank you. I'm just wondering, at what point in the remaining process is there an opportunity to introduce the revisions that Ken was suggesting to actually put protection in place instead of removing protection?
We are working with Senator Ricciardi on an amendment. And it's delicate. We are working with her from Italy. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but we hope to have something. But to share a little math with you, there are 6 people on the committee, two Democrats and 4 Republicans. So in order to get a tie, the 3-3, Senator Ricciardi needs to vote against the passage of this bill. And that's what we would need. So I think really what we want to do is get a tie vote on all options. The ought to pass as amended, and ITL, because we think we'd get a tie for all of those, and then have it come to the floor in January and talk about it there. And I think actually we have the numbers to kill the bill in the Senate, on the Senate floor. So that is really exciting, because there are a number of Republicans who don't like it.
Rob Winter has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, did you have a follow-up?
Well, I just wondered, I mean, is Senator Ricciardi trying to discuss the amendment in committee?
There, the committee positions have not changed.
So if an amendment is introduced, it would be in January.
Nope, it will be introduced on the 30th to the committee, but it will fail on a
Right.
3-3 vote.
Yeah.
So then in January, potentially on the Senate floor.
Right. So
But
in
even if the Senate, and this is me supposing, if the Senate amended the bill and sent it to the House would kill it.
Yeah.
Because it's a House bill already. So it already went through the House process. The only option for the House is to concur or non-concur. And they don't want amendments to it. Certainly don't want the amendments we want.
all right, thank you.
Sure, sure. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you all. Thanks so much. This is obviously really timely. So my question is, oftentimes our organization engages in having our members or inviting our members to contact legislators. And we're happy to do that and stand up such a program. But I want to make sure that if we were to do such a thing, that it be done in, complete collaboration in terms of messaging and targets and that kind of thing. So, because the last thing that we want to do is sort of, I know, Kathy, you had indicated that some of the discussions with Senator Ricciardi are delicate, and that's encouraging at some level. So my bottom line is we certainly would like to be interested to the extent that we can be helpful in terms of routing a lot of our members, calling particular legislators. So if we were to do such a thing, is there a script? Number one, would you like us to do such a thing at the right time? Is there a script that could be developed that would be helpful in that way? And how would our work in this way maybe fit into the timing of things?
Mm-hmm. I actually put it in the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for lifting up the conversation in the chat. We've got a little script.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yes.
It is little. And this is about wanting more local control over, in our own neighborhoods, and not having these cryptocurrency facilities have more control in our community than the residents do. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, and it seems like, given our New Hampshire sensibilities and what people think about their communities and caring about their communities, that should be an effective message.
Mm-hmm. So right now, before next Thursday, before next week, we're asking folks to just stay focused on the committee, because it's too early to go to the full Senate. They're going to forget. So just the folks listed there, the four there are in the committee. The two other members, sorry, Mary Beth, Mr. Magoo, and Senator Murphy, have not changed their positions at all, to my knowledge. And I think your time is better spent on the others.
Okay.
So is
Maria?
this something that you think would be useful for us to do with those four
Yeah,
at this time?
absolutely.
And I just want to make sure the time frame between now and the 30th, that's what you're looking for.
That's correct.
Okay, I think we can do that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for doing that.
My question, my real quick follow-up though, is Riccardi, I mean, it seems like, you described her as maybe being somewhat open to changes, or I don't know how strong she is to be in absolute opposition after a lot of pressure, but
Well, to be clear, she
yeah.
was the Republican in the committee that made it a 3-3 vote.
Yeah. So do you see her as a sort of a step aside from the other three then?
Yeah.
Really?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm asking is just, we can be, sometimes when you make these calls, you have to obviously be sensitive to what particular people are saying. I want to route a bunch of calls into, well, she's in Italy right now anyway, right? You're saying? We're not going to call Italy.
Yeah. You could
We don't
call
have
her
a budget
office,
for
of
that.
course.
But,
You could call her office at all times.
Do you know when she's coming back?
I think it's today or tomorrow. I'm
okay.
not sure.
So
It's
we
soon.
could do some calls, but I just want to make sure, only reason not to belabor the point, I just want to make sure that, that we make the right kind of call into her, because she seems to be a little more on our side than the other three.
It's all about local control.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks,
Great.
Rob. Thanks for
Thanks.
your help too.
And
Sure.
safeguards, local control and safeguards.
Right.
I'm listening to you.
Yes. Thank you, Bruce.
Marina has her hand up too. I want to make sure we recognize her.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Beth and Kathy. Thanks for this presentation. This was great. My question, I had asked it in the chat, and I apologize if we already went over this, but are we aware of specific facilities, crypto facilities being proposed in New Hampshire right now?
No, there are some, and actually is no, there are some facilities, but they are not large.
This is the sort of the easy pass to pave the way to getting that done. And also New Hampshire has always been a pilot case for these types of legislation. So if it passes in New Hampshire, other states can look at it and say, they passed it in New Hampshire, and well, we know
first in the nation.
What first adopters they are.
Lies.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. But this is one of the things that as a committee we had decided was that we wanted all of these types of facilities, the AI facilities, the cloud storage facilities, and the cryptocurrency facilities to be treated the same way. In regard at the Public Utilities Commission, at DES, and in regards to protecting ratepayers and property tax owners. This is a real different approach than what was proposed in this bill. And we really hope that these big computer data facilities are seen for what they are. And it's not hard. There's another report in here that I put in the chat, and it's from the Virginia chapter of Sierra Club, and it's called Unconstrained Demand. And that is about data centers in Virginia. And FYI, Virginia is like going out of control with these data centers. And in fact, their regional grid is like going haywire because of all these data centers and the way that they are impacting ratepayers' rates. And the governors in their local RTO, their grid operator, the governors are actually saying, I'm getting out of your jurisdiction because you are not following and protecting our ratepayers by allowing all of these huge energy sucking data centers in our jurisdiction, and it's wreaking havoc on residential rates. So
By the way, the way crypto is set up is they're using these computers to solve a problem. It's a highly entangled Gordian knot of a problem that takes a tremendous amount of computing to crunch the answer out of it. So think of a crypto mine as being like a horse track. And the horses are these computers that are solving the problem. And only the winner counts. So what the other horse owners do is they have to get bigger horses and, better fed horses.
Faster.
And faster horses. And it's a race to get faster horses. So you have a race to get faster computers. These computers go obsolete after a couple of years. And many of these crypto facilities leave the facility stranded. They don't upgrade. It costs too much. It's better to move on. So there's an old saying, when they discovered gold in the Klondike in Alaska, the miners really didn't make the money. The people that went up there to mine for gold and pan for gold in the rivers, the guys that made the money, the guys that sold liquor, pickaxes, and shovels. And that's what's happening here.
Right.
So may I ask a follow-up question to that, Ken?
Yes.
So if I hear AI, I hear computers racing against each other. When I hear crypto mining, that was going to be my question. So they're not distilling crypto. They are racing to do what?
It's a cryptographical problem. And the first one to solve the problem wins the prize. So that prize money is going up. It's like a horse race from that point of view. And the crypto miners are the guys who own the horse track. But it's the mutual betting that makes that you as an investor, you would come to the horse track and say, oh, I'm going to put $2 on, she's a hell of a mudder, so I'm going to put $2 on this horse. And that's another way that they make money off of this. But we're talking about the crypto miners who are consuming this uncontrollable amount of power, and it's going up exponentially.
Right. They're converting energy into this code, and the code gives them, by finding the code, they get a value amount. But it's the energy that runs the computer that becomes the equivalency. So a lot of the times you'll see, how often or how the rate of return for a crypto mine is based on how much energy it consumes.
I don't want to monopolize the question. I just have a follow-up. So
anybody else have a question? So Bruce isn't monopolizing?
No, it's good. It's good discussion.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Sorry, I'm just trying to educate myself. So when I think of crypto, I think of Bitcoin, right? So when I hear crypto mining, I think it's some vehicle to produce Bitcoin. But if I'm listening to you, Ken, that's not what it's doing.
It's a virtual value, and it can be traded, but the way they increase or the way they get to that value is through this race, this computer race.
Okay, thank you.
And it's not unlike an arms race. You have to continually get more and more computing power to win the race. And that the more computing power, the more energy you're going to need. So it's an exponential increase. I don't know, maybe someday the quantum computer will be invented and all of this will go away. But until then, uh, we're talking megawatts and facilities that are several football fields sized.
Quantum's on its way, but I see Lucius has his hand up.
Representative.
Yes, I got a question for Ken, probably. How you doing, Ken?
Hi.
It was mentioned in committee, and I tend to feel that it might be a valid point that the price of energy in New England, particularly in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, is going to be somewhat of a protection for us from having these large data centers move here. They'd rather move to a place like Texas or up some other place where energy is more affordable.
Yeah, we're paying the fifth highest rate, and our Public Utilities Commission just approved, I think, an 8% increase. So we'll see another increase coming.
Yeah, I don't think this is the kind of thing we want to wait around and say, oh, well, hey, it's okay. Let them pass this bill. It'll never happen here, because it will happen.
Catherine, I agree with you, but I also take a little solace in the fact that, normally we got to get our energy prices down on the one hand, but it's another point that because our energy prices are so high, that this is going to affect consumers.
But there are no protections in this bill for ratepayers.
Exactly.
So if they want to pay the highest prices for electricity, that's their option, right? They'll come. If they can get land cheap and maybe some money from the state or the town, and bully the town to get in, maybe it's worth it. I'm no crypto guy, but it has the potential is there. I hear that is prohibitive, but it doesn't mean that we can't prepare.
Catherine, just to make it clear, I do agree. I think that
Oh
we
yeah,
need
yeah.
but I do think that that argument probably will come up at some point or another. So
Oh,
I
it has
just
for
wanted to be the
sure.
one to raise it.
Yeah. Thank you.
The other argument we've seen is that rather than fossil fuel, that the energy could be generated from nuclear and even clean energy like wind and solar. But New Hampshire is currently way behind even its own goals for uh, you know moving away from carbon. Now, our 2050 goal is we're nowhere close. We're like even among the other New England states, we're lagging behind in adoption of green energy.
Right.
Siobhan has her hand up.
Thanks, Mary Beth, and thanks, Kathy, for this. Has been a really great conversation, and thanks, Ken, for all the knowledge you've been dropping. Yeah, I dropped this in the chat, but I had wondered if anyone has heard any buzz about Merrimack Station, because I know that in other states, closed coal mines have been repurposed for crypto mining, with very bad results. And sometimes they're using the coal, right? Like, so we're not supposed to be burning that coal anymore, but it's got to go somewhere. And they actually use that coal that's on site still to burn, to
Well,
generate
the good news is per the agreement with Granite Shore, the coal furnace is disassembled. And it cannot burn coal.
Right.
Yay! So everybody,
Yay, that's great.
let's give
And
a
follow on to that.
hand
That's
for
great.
no coal,
No,
right?
cool. And I have not heard anything other than, from Jim Andrews and company that they have anything other than to proceed with their plan around a renewable energy park rather than anything else. So yeah.
That is what they've said from the beginning, as I know Siobhan, but I do want to be clear, they can't burn coal there anymore. But they're really close to a natural gas pipeline, and they have a lot of space over there. What does that mean? I mean, they've got the jet engines over there that are still viable. Um, and they've got the interconnection to the grid, and that is valuable. And I really like the idea of what they've talked about, having this clean energy park. They've done that. They've set that up at Schiller Station in Portsmouth as well, and that's exciting. And that is, I think, viable. But someone had the question about the names. If you scroll up to the 2:30 mark in the chat, there is the names of the senators on the committee that you want to call, and then that's the General Senate phone number, 2111. So that's up there. Can you see it? Are you unable to?
If you can see it, if you could copy it and repaste it in the chat, that would be helpful.
I can. I'll do that. Oh, okay. All right, let me get the names. So don't go. All right. All right, here I come. Scrolling back down. There you go. That was to admin. Yes. Excellent. And then, oh, thank you, John Gage, for sharing that link. Did you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, welcome, Kathy. It just had some interesting information about data centers in general, which is for Bitcoin or for crypto coin mining as well as AI. Any data center purpose. But it has some rough numbers for energy requirements and also the water cooling requirements, which are enormous. Which I would think New Hampshire would really care about. There's a lot of places in the state that are water is going to become a scarce resource, and not controlling who's going to be using how much water really matters. Data centers use a lot of water.
Thank you for that, John. There is a story from upstate New York, from North Tonawanda, New York, where a crypto mining facility has come up, and just Google it. It sounds just like it's spelled just as it sounds, North Tonawanda. And that community has just been thank you. It has been taken over. Their infrastructure it requires more maintenance for their water system because they just hooked up to the water system, and they are pumping huge amounts of water out of their municipal water system and putting it back into the sewage water system. And as you can imagine, this is like it's 20,000 new homes, the equivalent of a small facility. I think that's what Ken said. Is that right?
10,000 on the water.
10,000 on the water.
20,000 on the power.
Thank you. But 10,000 new homes in your community.
It's a lot of hot showers.
Yeah, that's a lot of showers. And it required a lot more, exactly, a lot more maintenance and upgrading than the town had expected. So these are additional costs that because they had a separate contract with this business, the business was not paying a fair amount compared to the residents. So it's it's a rub. It's that sort of business rub that the business community will quickly say, "Oh, well, it's in our contract," or "It's not in our contract." Too bad. And that's not right. That's not fair. And that's not being a good neighbor. And so there are stories one after the other after the other. And I really do encourage folks to check out these reports. They are really helpful. I'll put them in again in the chat. There are two. They're not a horrible read, but I do encourage you to check them out. And I see we're at time, so I'll shut up and let Mary Beth do the closing.
All right, thanks everybody. I will post a link to the recording and the meeting chat and any slides that Catherine or anybody else sends to me as soon as I can. So thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much for coming. Take care.
Thank you,
And
Ken.
our next event is the 21st. And Bruce, if you know better how to advertise it, take yourself off mute and tell folks it's a legislative update, right, on the 21st?
Yes, so I just got to get back here. If you can hear me,
Yep.
there will be every Sunday there is a legislative update sent out. So and meeting update. So whatever today is, count on it on Sunday, and it'll be out sometime during the day on Sunday. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.